Hi, it's Dr. David, the ENT doctor. And being an ENT doctor, I can't help but have to know a little bit about sleep. I don't profess to be a sleep specialist, of course, but we often come across children and adults that have obstructed breathing affecting their sleep. In the process of doing that, we notice these associations, and it's nice to read around the topic and then share the information that we come across. So one of the things that I come across a lot when it comes to mostly children, but occasionally with the adults too, but mostly with children, is not only do they have trouble breathing at night, but tied in with this, they'll have things such as teeth grinding, sleepwalking, sleep talking, and night terrors. And I just thought I'd share you a little bit of information of what we think we know about these conditions, just in terms of how they manifest. So let's do teeth grinding first. So we used to think that teeth grinding was tied up with stress and anxiety, and to some degree that's still the case as being correct. But what we've come to realise in children, if we follow their breathing patterns and sleep patterns, is that a lot of the time it's probably related to the oxygen levels dropping low. When the oxygen levels drop low, the brain sends out a message of panic, and that translates into teeth grinding. There we go. When it comes to sleepwalking, what's really interesting is, just to be a little bit pedantic, when there's a transition between one stage of sleep to another, there's these little parts of brain activity that we call sleep spindles. And what seems to happen in some people is that if they have had a bad night's sleep, they've got some form of sleep deprivation, then early on in the beginning of their next night of sleep, those sleep spindles, in terms of their quantity, is altered, and this seems to open the door for the sleepwalking. We see something similar with sleep talking as well. And again, the same story with night terrors. So one of the common reasons for sleep deprivation in kids is poor sleep, but we need to be mindful about this thing called sleep hygiene as well. So, for example, we know that children that have TVs in their room, they are more prone to things such as night terrors. It's probably partly because they're staying up and watching TV beyond when they should, and the exposure to the light from the TV is keeping their brain active and not allowing a normal sleep pattern. And the other worrying thing is you don't know actually what they're watching on TV unless you're monitoring it, and they tend to retreat into their room, so you don't know what they're watching. So that's part of the story too. The other thing that it overlaps with is with iron deficiency, and when they are iron deficient, you can have this condition called restless leg syndrome that comes to the fore, and that also, as you've seen in other videos, if you scroll back when I've talked about iron, tips in with sleep disordered breathing as well. So we have this complex interaction with breathing, sleep, restless leg, sleepwalking, sleep talking, night terrors, teeth grinding. And what's quite remarkable is when we help these children breathe better, a good number of them have resolution of their other associated problems. Now, those other problems, we call them parasomnias. So I think it's important to realise the link and the association, and highlight that sleep disordered breathing is the most common sleep disorder in children and adults. And as a consequence of that being the case, it needs to be at the top of the list and front of the class with respect to the sorts of things people should be inquiring about and assessing when another type of sleep problem, such as what I've mentioned, is discovered. Cheers.